Hey, I recently got a question from a player about shooting and fixed guns and how that works with cover and what's in the arc of the line of sight. And so this is sort of a tutorial for how to do shooting, and maybe it's also a tutorial for how to simplify everything, right? So let's go and see the question, and I will talk you through it. So, tricky questions of Rookie Tutorial. And anyone who has any of these questions, you can send them to me. I may have time to answer. Right now I'm quite busy with a lot of tournaments going on, but I may find the time and we'll talk through them. This one, the question was, when firing a fixed weapon at a target only partially in the firing arc, how do you count the figures for cover and small team? Only those in arc or all the figures? So, and to illustrate this, I got two cases which I have made a picture for so that you can see. The first case is this one. There are 5 infantry. 2 of them are in hard cover. You see these 2 guys standing behind the wall? They're in hard cover. 3 are in the open. However, only 2 in cover and 1 in the open are in the arc of the gun that wants to fire at them. If you're only counting those in the arc, the unit has cover. If you count all of them, it does not. Second case. There are 5 infantry. 3 of them are in hard cover, these 3 dudes behind the wall. 2 are in the open. However, only 1 in cover and 2 in the open are in arc. If you only count those in the arc, the unit does not have cover. But if you count all of them, it does. So that is the case. When a fixed weapon fires at a target, do you count all the figures or only the ones who are in arc? Right. For me, to answer this, the first thing I'll say, don't overcomplicate this. There's a very specific order in which you do stuff in bolt action. And when you fire your weapons, the first thing you do is you place down your order dice. It's a fire order. Then you declare the target. So you see, I'm going to shoot at that unit behind the wall. The next thing you do is the opponent gets to react, which means that he can go down or whatever. He can recce if he had recce, right? He can go down with these infantrymen. And then you figure out whether or not you have line of sight and whether or not you have range to that unit. To have line of sight, you can read about that on page 50 to 52. You have to have some models in the target unit that are in your arc for fixed weapons. If you do, then you can shoot. Then the unit is in line of sight. So that's all you need to do. You have to establish that your unit can see some models and shoot at them. If you have line of sight, the next thing you do is you figure out whether or not the target has cover. Cover, you can read about that, page 54 to 57. And basically it says that if more than half of the unit is in cover, then you can shoot with cover. If more than 50% of the unit is outside of cover, then the unit gets no cover. It's as simple as that. You can even read it here. So long as at least 50% of the shooters can clearly draw a line of fire to at least 50% of the target unit, no modifiers apply. You only have one shooter here. So if you can draw a clear line of fire to at least 50% of the unit, no modifiers applies. So it's very, very simple. Establish the line of sight, establish cover after the line of sight. You're not counting what's in arc then. The only place you do count in arc is when you establish line of sight. And you've already established that. So let's not overcomplicate it. The 2 cases would be the first one here, the unit would not get cover because 3 of them are in the open. The second case, the unit will get cover because only 2 of them are in the open, 3 of them are behind the wall. And that is it. Sometimes The rules of this rulebook are written rather convoluted. They're not always clear. We are still waiting for version 3 to clear everything up, hopefully. Until then, just simplify it down to what process, what's the lie, what happens first, then what happens, then what happens, and then what happens. If you're still in doubt, ask one of us, and as soon as we start looking weird in the eyes, then you know you're in trouble, right? But this one is actually okay. You can figure this one out just by going by the rule book. You need more than 50% of your unit in cover for them to gain cover. And it doesn't matter about line of sight. This also means, by the way, that if you have a small team where one of them is behind a building, for instance, and the other sticks out to shoot a bazooka, that means that that small team cannot get cover because you have one guy that's in the open, so that is not more than 50% behind cover. There we go. Cool. That was it. Thank you so much for sending the question. I will see you next time. Cheers.